In every pattern lies the power of prophecy. Now, I know that sounds like an ancient quote, maybe like something your grandma might have told you over a campfire, but that's Top Shelf Cole coming at you live and direct from here at the Top Shelf. Man, I hope y'all feeling blessed today. I hope y'all are feeling energized. I know I am. Y'all know how we get down on Fridays. When we take that energy that Friday brings, just that creative spirit, that freedom as we roll into the weekend, and we want to build on that. So welcome to episode 4 of Free-Minded Fridays. And today we're looking at hidden patterns, pattern recognition, and we're going to get into some techniques on how to recognize patterns and how to be able to adjust and make the adjustments for success. I think this is an undervalued topic. I came up with this topic while studying the charts, stock market, getting into options trading, and really trying to perfect my day trading craft. And I realized that the best traders are the ones who quickly recognize patterns and can make predictions based on those patterns and adjust their strategy based on that. So y'all make sure to hit that subscribe button. Here at the Top Shelf, we are empowering hustling professionals to level up. And we're doing this through strategy and tactics. I want to provide you all with strategy, give y'all some actionable tactics, as well as some tools that you can use. So again, y'all relax and let's go ahead and dive into this one. So y'all know I got to give you a bit of a challenge. Today, I want to see if you can guess the next pattern. So guess the next square in the sequence. You're going to have to quickly analyze the sequence, and then you're going to have to recognize what comes next. So this exercise is going to be about a minute long. I'm going to put it up right here. So let's get going. So I know that probably came easy to many of you all. Some of you guys was probably a bit more challenging. But the reason I want to do this exercise and even talk about pattern recognition is for 3 reasons. Recognizing patterns in the workplace, so at your job, recognizing patterns in your relationships, so you could be your friends, your family, your significant other, and then also recognize patterns when you're investing. So in the stock market or whatever vehicle that you invest in. So let's talk about pattern recognition at your job or in the workforce. It's super important. I used to work with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and what we would do is we would ask the customer after we rented them a car, we'd ask them, hey, Mr. Customer, hey, Mrs. Customer, how was your experience with Enterprise? And they say, oh man, it was all right. And then we dig a little further. We say, well, what could we have done better? And they're gonna say something like, well, y'all took 20 minutes to bring my car around from the back. Y'all didn't even have the car that I wanted. And then by the time I got in the car, it wasn't clean. Now, as a manager, we have to take this feedback and take note of it, right? And so let's say we get 20 surveys that day, and 10 of the surveys say, hey, the car took longer than 20 minutes to come around. That's a pattern. Now, what do we do with that information is the key here. I get my team together and I'll say, look, guys, we've got a trend. And the trend is we're taking too long to bring the cars around to the customer. So here's what we're gonna do. And then we game plan to strategize for that issue. Now that's recognizing a pattern and making the adjustment. And that right there is the difference between a successful business and a failing business. Now I wanna give you all another one at work, another example. Understanding your boss's patterns or your direct reports patterns will ultimately lead you to success. I'll give you an example. After every meeting, your boss messages you on Teams or on Slack and says, hey, what were your thoughts from the meeting? Or what were your takeaways from the meeting? You recognize this week after week. This is a recurring pattern. One idea that you can have is maybe you start taking notes during the meeting. You take bullet point notes. After you have your bullet point notes, you upload those to, an AI chat, maybe ChatGPT or Claude, could be Copilot, and you say, hey, you prompt the GPT to organize these notes, or you may say optimize these notes, identify any questions that need to be asked, and also create next steps or action steps based on these notes. Then your notes will be organized. You'll have some questions that you can ask, you bring to the table, as well as some next steps for action items. You send those notes after every single meeting to your boss. This is going to start to build trust. This is going to start to grow your authority. You're going to start to really leave that impression that you are attentive, you're aware of the situation, and you're responsible. And then when it comes to relationships, we always seem to be amazed when people do things, but they've displayed a pattern, reoccurring behavior of behaving this way, yet we're always surprised when people behave in certain manners just because we wouldn't do it, right? So understanding your friends, your family's behavior patterns, reoccurring behaviors, it allows you to, one, not be shocked, not be surprised by when they do something. It also allows you to maneuver, to show up when you need to show up, or also to be absent when you don't need to be around for these kind of actions. If you're trying to break habits, but you keep going around people who are displaying those old habits, then don't be surprised when you can't break those patterns. You can't break out of those old habits, right? So let's start to get ahead of these patterns, recognize them, and then move accordingly. So now I'm gonna give y'all 2 tactics of recognizing patterns. The first one's gonna be feedback loops. Now, this is similar to the example I gave with enterprise. Basically, you're going to request feedback from either your user, your customer, your significant other, whoever you're trying to identify a pattern in, or in yourself as well. So, for example, perhaps you are launching a product. Perhaps you work with a business who's going to market with a different product or service. You're going to request customer feedback. Maybe you send them a survey. Out of that survey, again, you might have 20 customers that say, hey, the page load times were slow. Or, hey, there was no place for me to enter my notes. Or I didn't see the submit button, right? And you start to get these patterns. You can either chart them, you can use a pie graph, a line graph, and then you can say, okay, here's some areas of opportunity that we need to improve. Here are some things we're doing extremely well. Let's continue to build on these areas that we're doing extremely well. And you start to put together these patterns. And if you recognize them, you can make data-backed decisions and see some success. Now, the next tactic is going to be flowcharting. So I'm a digital marketing strategist, and so I've identified this as an opportunity to recognize patterns and make decisions. Let's say a customer finds your website on a Google search. Maybe you are a personal trainer and they say fitness training Houston, and they find your website. They click on over to it. Then you have your offer, right? You got your value proposition. Get trained by top professionals in the Houston area. They click it. You have the inquiry form. So now they've got to fill out their form, leave their email address and phone number. Then after that, you send them an automated email. They get the email, they click on it to schedule their time, right? And then you send them a payment link, or you give them instruction, right? So you got this flow chart, this customer journey. Now, somewhere along the lines, maybe you recognize every time we send them the automated email, they drop off. They don't reply. They don't schedule their appointment, right? And you can recognize this as a pattern. Now, when you recognize this as a pattern, you have some decisions to make. Now, of course, you've got to have the data. You've got to have the tools set up to be able to do this. But once you get this data in, you can start to recognize patterns and you can make decisions off of it. And then last, when it comes to the markets, man, if you're looking at a chart and you recognize the patterns of the chart, then you can recognize the best entry points, when to buy in at a good price, and the best selling points, when to take some profit off the top because you know it's going to pull back. So here I've got the cheat sheet, the Wall Street cheat sheet, and it gives sentiment, how the market typically moves in this pattern. And you'll see as it goes up, you've got hope, you've got belief, right? And you start to get up to euphoria. Now, when the stock chart peaks at euphoria, man, you're feeling amazing. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling like a master. You know, we might hit happy hour tonight. You know what I'm talking about? Do it big. Then it starts to pull back down and you start to get anxious. You know, you start to get worried, disbelief. No way this is happening. I just made all this money going up. No way I'm losing all this money. And then it starts to even go down even further. You start to get angry. I'm hot. Can't believe this is happening to me. And so you get these patterns. And if you're able to recognize these patterns in the chart, you can make you some money. So I recommend y'all studying this right here. Man, this is it. This is it. And I hope y'all got something from this episode of Free-Minded Fridays. Take this, what you get from this, man, and roll into the weekend. Do some reflection this weekend. I want y'all to really sit down, study some charts, study some patterns that you might be seeing in your job, in your relationships. Maybe get some feedback, right? Get a feedback. Maybe do a flow chart of the process and start to recognize patterns in your daily processes, your weekly processes. Man, y'all know what it is. It's top shelf coal. Hope y'all feeling blessed, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all's weekend. Peace.